In the last preparation video, I got the QAP bed rack installed on the 2024 Tacoma Trailhunter. In this episode, I've taken the truck to Finish Line in Grand Junction, Colorado for some further work. This truck is wide and it attracts scratches on the trail because of that, so I decided that paint protection film was in order. I'm just doing the clear stuff, but it was cool to see their options. And after meeting these guys and checking out the shop, I knew right away that my truck was in good hands. There are a lot more valuable cars passing through this shop than my Tacoma. Muscle cars, luxury cars, sports cars, and of course, the occasional vehicle abuser like myself that isn't exactly nice to the shiny surfaces on their truck. These guys have done it all. And more on the PPF film in future videos, because in this video, we have a lot more work to get done.
I have so much stuff going on, but I thought this might be helpful for somebody because I was trying to figure out where am I gonna mount my ham radio. So the way I'm gonna do this is I ripped out, or you just give it a good tug towards the front of the windshield, and I'm going to fashion my radio in here in one way or another because it's up out of the way, away from the rear view mirror. I'm gonna drill a hole in it to mount this, and then I'm gonna drill other holes in it to run my wires up and through the headliner. So this radio in particular is the Yaesu FTM 500D. So right here on this curve, for you guys that are gonna be looking into this, what I did is I took a fender washer and I hammered it over the top of like a round pipe. I didn't heat it up personally. Heating it up would make it a bit easier. And then I put a piece of foam on that side of the washer. So what I did is I just shaped the washer slightly to that rounding shape, because if you keep it flat, it'll probably want to crack the plastic. This is a pretty good long-term solution, I think. The size of this washer is pretty perfect for the size of this thing. So then what I did is I drilled a hole up here with my hole saw and I put a grommet in there. And then once again, it turned out pretty clean, and I kind of did a quick test fit, but this is barely gonna stick down. I can still get to the buttons. I can get to my SD card on the side here. That is my solution for this. Now I gotta run the wiring. I don't know where I'm gonna mount the brains of this unit, but I want to get this part done just so I can start running antenna wire and stuff in the near future.
I have to say, I'm pretty proud of this simple installation. I wondered about where my radio was going to go for over a year before I got the truck, but this is definitely better looking than anything else I'd imagined and very simple to do. I will put links for this radio in the description. The next chore was to move the tent off of the FJ and onto the truck. And everybody can calm down, it will be going back onto the FJ soon, but for now, I just want to camp with my new truck. In just a few short months, this truck is going to go through a transformation that you're either going to love or you're gonna hate. My patrons know everything about it, and based off of their impressions, you're gonna love it.
Today, I'm getting this thing ready for the rest of the year's adventures. We are into mid-August. I'm just now getting the truck set up and ready to go, so I'm gonna utilize it all the way through probably like November, maybe even December, and get out, get on the trails, and enjoy this thing in its current form. I'm going to run a bed rack for the rest of the season. That way I can just get out and use the truck, make content on it, because that's the whole purpose of me buying this truck, is to do a build for the channel and to use the truck for the channel. And so it just made sense to use my tent for now. So I pulled it off the FJ today, got it all lined up, bolted down, ready to go. So last night I went through and I did my ham radio installation. It turned out very nice aside from the antenna portion of it, but I did use the Toyota's factory installed aux switch to power that thing. It was very nice to just be able to use Toyota's auxiliary toggle switches for that, the factory aux switches. And so that was really easy to do. I just plugged in the pigtail, wired it up, it was good to go. Getting everything in order, moving all of my camping stuff from the FJ and kind of getting stuff somewhat organized, because in the future, my camp system will be very different than what it is now. But for now, I got to just use Pelican cases, Zargus cases, and all sorts of stuff. But in the future, it'll be much more dialed in, but that day will come later. Okay, so I just ran some wires because I do have this thing wired for the FJ. This tent will be going back on the FJ in like 3 or 4 months. So I just want to do some temporary wiring. So it's a little messier than I would typically run, but it's going to be just fine because all the molly panels and stuff, I've got plenty of places to anchor my wiring to. So what I did is I ran my solar plug to the e-taker battery. I ran my tent to the e-taker battery. And what I did is I bought a bunch of these DC55 ports, I believe is what they're called, and there's like adapters for more cigarette lighter plugs, which I personally hate these kinds of plugs, but if I have to rely on it for the next couple months, and it is what it is. And then I bought some that are just the DC551 leads, and this is how I'm powering everything right now. So with the e-taker battery, I can either charge it off of the inverter, which will charge it in like an hour and 20 minutes, hour and 30 minutes. So my refrigerator, I just have some roller cams holding this to the side here, holding it to the side so it doesn't slide back and forth, not really downward. One of the downsides of a truck bed like this is I don't want to just drill a bunch of holes into it. I'm not going to do a fridge slide on this because a fridge slide will not serve me here in 3 months, 4 months. So for now, I just have to rely on, I'm gonna be using roller cams for just about everything. So the other thing I did is I put a light right here because I'm used to having one on the FJ and it's very nice to have. This is just a little hardcore lighting. They're magnetic. I put some 3M on it and it actually fits perfect inside of the Kuat cross rail here. I have it fully extended. I think this is the 12-inch hardcore light. And then there's a dimmer switch that it comes with. And so I have this set up here and I just 3M taped everything on because again, this is only gonna be used for the rest of the season. So for you guys that are gonna see this light and be like, where did you get those? On my Conqueror UEV 490, when I owned that thing, I did the same style lighting on that. And then I replaced the interior lights with hardcore lighting. And then I bought some extra pieces that I didn't end up using. So I had these sitting around. Here's the deal with hardcore lighting. They're no longer in the United States. They had reached out to me and told me they're gonna relaunch. I haven't heard anything back. They're terrible at responding to emails and stuff in my experience. I've recently had to order parts from Australia to replace some of this stuff. And the shipping was like $35 or $40. It was like the same cost as what I needed to buy. So I will not be using hardcore lighting anymore. So if you guys are looking for a solution like this, there is a new option. It's what I'm gonna use on this truck when I get the new setup, and it's Lux lighting. This guy's out of California, I believe. He has a very similar setup, but they're more of a hard light. They're more like this one. This one has like a cover and everything on it. But his, instead of having a switch like this, each light has its own individual switch that can dim it. It can do orange light, it can do red light, it can do white light. They look badass. I just wanted to talk about that because I know I'm gonna get questions on, hey, where'd you get that light? I've been working in a hot, humid shop today all day long and I am burned out, but I got a bunch more work to do and I have to do it today or I will not have it done for the expo next weekend. So I'm gonna get cracking on that. Okay, so like we saw in the previous video, these shocks are pretty exposed. I don't like how exposed that nut is. So I bought the Rago fabrication guards for those. And these are the most rounded ones, I think I should say, that they look like they're more of a proper skid plate. Well, this is kind of a bummer, but what I'm finding is the Old Man Emu kind of kicks off to the side. Rago has probably not had an opportunity to try to fit these on this thing yet, but the way it fits, I need to go up about an inch, and it looks like maybe I can remove this plastic guard, and then that will function as the guard. I think that would be okay, but as of right now, it doesn't look like this will work. All right, moment of truth. Okay, so it does look like these are gonna fit. They included a, oh, and I can put my guards back on? The only reason it looked like it didn't fit was because I was trying to fit it on where the bolt goes. And so now that I have it set up correctly, it looks like it'll be fine.
Something to note is the Trailhunter has a significantly bigger shock than the lower trims. Otherwise, these would bolt right up to the truck. But for me, it looks like I'm gonna have to do some modifying to make these work.
And then the other kit that I got will go right here. Oh yeah, and those are nice. Those are nicely fitted. But, huh, damn. Well, that's a bummer. So, that saves me a lot of time tonight. I thought I was gonna install these skid plates and these will not work with the Trailhunter. These are not compatible with the Trailhunter rock rails. That sucks that I can't use these. This is gonna take some modification. I think what I'm gonna have to do, or what I would have to do, I have thought about getting other rock rails in the future anyway. The Toyota ones are not quite enough of a step for me, so I may end up changing those out anyway. So I don't think I'm gonna send these back. I think I'm just gonna wait until I have some different rock rails, or maybe this winter I will decide that I want to go through and modify those ones, those rock rails, and make them work with this. But that's too bad. I'm very impressed with how they bent this. This is gonna be a very sleek, like it doesn't add much bulk. Some of the other ones that I've seen before on like the past generation stuff, like my FJ, it's very thick, bulky steel, and this is a pretty sleek design. I did get my diff breather from ARB installed. I just took a note from Descent Off-Road. They just used 3M tape and put the breather on the back of the brake booster, and so that's what I did too. I just stuck it on there, and I only ran the rear for now, and I'm gonna run the front two. They're pretty high anyway, they're probably about that high, but I will run those to the breather as well. It's just I'm not as worried about it tonight. The rear differential breather is just way too low, so I wanted to get that up because there's a chance I'll be doing some like moderate water crossing soon, so that was one of the first things I wanted to handle. The front diffs are higher. I don't know why Toyota doesn't do the same for the rear, but anyway, it's a cheap kit. They're like 60 bucks. I'll link that in the description. Literally 3M taped on, ran the hose. It probably took me 30 minutes to install that. So I wasn't able to get quite as much done as I anticipated today, but I've been here for about 10 hours. So honestly, those skid plates not fitting were actually kind of a relief. Now I can get out of here a little bit sooner. So I'm gonna go park this thing, jump in the FJ, and head home.
That's it for today. And in next week's video, I'll be replacing the wheels, the tires, various hardware, and adding some more accessories to this Tacoma. Click the subscribe button and the notification bell to follow along with this build.